Thank you, Jay. Somebody brought, I think maybe Caroline's little grandson, there's a little man standing here with a lovely staff, and he's got a little donkey here. I don't know if you were listening carefully in that story, but the story's interesting in that there's a donkey and there's a baby donkey, a foal. And it said they put the blanket on them, and then Jesus got on them. And I've been puzzling over that for a good number of years. Why on earth the story would put something like that, which is hard to imagine as being real. How on earth do you ride a mommy donkey and a baby donkey at the same time? So I'm going to encourage you, if you've got nothing else in your life to think about as you're doing dishes or mowing the lawn or paying your taxes or painting the walls in your kitchen, if you've got nothing else to think about, ask yourself, what on earth does the gospel mean when it talks about Jesus getting on a mom and a baby donkey at the same time? I wish I could tell you the answer to that, but I can't. The one thing I can say is it's a story. And what I have been thinking about this week is the song that we used to sing when we were younger. I love to tell the story of unseen things above, of Jesus and his glory, and Jesus and his love. And I got to thinking about the stories that I heard as a child and the things that I've been reading as a grown-up, and I realized that of all the things in life that we ought to value, storytelling should be ranked among the highest. And what I'd like to say to you that there's nothing shameful in taking the Bible as a storybook. So often people will come to me and say, but you're saying it's just a story. And I ask, why do you say just a story? Why do you make it that stories are not that important? When stories may be one of the most important parts of human being that there is. I'm not sure what the proper word is there. But stories, in many ways, are the conveyors of our spiritual DNA. In the same way that our bodies are made up of a heritage that goes back through all of the ages, our spiritual identity goes back through all of the ages. And in a particular way, for those of us who are in the Christian tradition, and also those who we know who are in the Jewish tradition, or those who we are beginning to know who are in the Muslim tradition, these people all tell stories, and those stories all go back to Abraham and Sarah, and the promise that God made to them that they would have descendants, and that those descendants would occupy history throughout all of eternity, throughout all of time. But today we have in front of us a story of a very special day in Jerusalem. We enacted that a little bit with our children processing in. We enacted that a little bit by singing joyful songs. And the reason for that is that this day, Palm Sunday, was a celebration in the experience of Israel. And it was a celebration that they had been honoring for a long, long time, and it traced back to an event that had great significance for the people of Israel. Now this goes back to the days of Egypt, the days of the pyramids, the days of conscripted labor, the days when persons at the lowest level of social solvency were used by those at the highest level. And so there was a great divide between those who had and those who had not. And those who had were a minority, and those who had not were a majority. And the story of the Exodus is about a people who are languishing. They are worried, they are concerned, they are anxious. It seems that they have no future. And what the story tells us is that these folks sighed, they groaned, they lamented, they worried, they fretted about what would happen next for them. And the story tells us that God heard this cry from the people, and that this cry set things in motion by which God liberated the people from their bondage and into a strong hope for a future of prosperity. Now, this all happened in historical ways, just like right now things are happening in history. There are all kinds of influences at work. People everywhere are being subjected to the influence of others. We see this every time we turn on our news or open the paper. There are the powerful, and there are those who are being used by the powerful. And I assume that those who are being used by the powerful are crying out just like the people in Egypt cried out, and that God is paying attention, and that just now in the earth there is a movement, and that movement could be compared to what we see in Palm Sunday. We haven't achieved yet that point where we have confidence to express ourselves as followers of Jesus in a public way, but we are approaching that moment. And what I'd like to say is, just like Egypt, just like our time, this story about Jesus coming into the city of Jerusalem on a donkey is a story about the relationship of ordinary people with the way of power in the world. And on this day in Jerusalem, everybody had gathered from all over the earth. Wherever the Jewish people had gone in their dispersal, they came home for the festival of the Passover. And the Passover was the remembrance of the day in which God liberated them from oppression in Egypt. So on this day, there's much going on in the city of Jerusalem. It's a great day for tourism. It's a great day for the economy of Jerusalem, because people are from everywhere needing places to rent, to sleep. They're needing to eat. So they're spending money on this day. But then, on this morning of Palm Sunday, into the city comes this whole procession of people who don't have the resources to participate in the benefits of the economy in that day. And they're following somebody who is called in the text a prophet, Jesus, from Nazareth. And what I'd like to say is that this little verse about Jesus, a prophet from Nazareth, is acceptable to Jewish people, it's acceptable to Muslim people, and it's acceptable to us as Christian people. But there's one difference between the Christian people and the Muslim people and the Jewish people. When the Christian people remember Passover, they don't remember a human being, Jesus, from a small town, Nazareth, which was a no-place town. They, Christians, now have exalted Jesus and made him something so high and so mighty that he's out of reach for most of us. All we can do is depend on him to take care of us when we're in trouble. But the story is about something else. The story is about how Jesus has been out in the landscape. He's been going from village to village, and wherever people are discouraged, he's encouraging them. Wherever people are feeling broken and wounded, he is healing them. And I want to suggest to you that, again, our tradition has turned all of that work that Jesus did into supernatural stuff. And I don't mind if you tell the story that way, but really it's important to remember that the Jesus in view on Palm Sunday is an ordinary human person who has been doing what any human person can do. Make a difference in the lives of those who are not well in the way of the world. So this day, Palm Sunday, is a great day of celebration for the people of the land. Indeed, if the land could speak out, the land itself would celebrate, and the trees will break out in singing, because the power has been creating so much harm that change must come. So what I am hoping will happen in the days to come is that all those who are inspired by the gospel of Jesus Christ will determine to make their lives count. And that counting will come into play following an important decision. And this is the decision that was faced by all the people in Jerusalem of the day. Here is this person, Jesus, this prophet from Nazareth. And this person is saying that things can be different and things are going to be different. And this person has encouraged those who were suffering in the land. So they are all coming with him into the city. And this is causing the persons who live in the city, the persons who are well vested in the city, to ask questions. What's going on here? And wouldn't it be wonderful if in the earth, just now, all over, folk were asking, what's going on with the Christian church? It seems to have shifted its gears. It seems to be going in a new direction. It's no longer about worshiping God, adoring God, admiring God, talking about God. It's now about doing what God wants done. And that's what we see in Jesus. Jesus is walking about, a person just like us, doing what God wants done. And this is a problem for the religious folks. Because God is not wanting us to strengthen our religion. I'm going to be retiring, and I was asked by the presbytery if I would be prepared to speak at a meeting and maybe write a little essay. And they didn't ask me to write what I thought or what I believed or what I experienced. They said, and would you mind writing in such a way that we can be encouraged about the hope of the church? Now, I understand why we would not want the church to just fade away. But I also understand that if the church stays where it is, it will fade away, no matter what strategies it employs to raise more money, to do more things, to organize more programs. The church can do that till the cows come home, but it won't bring the change for which we are hungry. The change for which we are hungry will come when we decide to embrace the spirit that is in Jesus, the spirit of making a difference. And Jesus is one, but profoundly, he has affected our history. In every generation, persons have had to struggle with the meaning of his story. And what I would like to say is that the time has come for people all over the earth, Christian people, Jewish people, Muslim people, and by our example, showing all other people that what now matters more than anything is the recognition that we are all human beings on this planet together. And we can no longer abide the controversies that lead to conflict, that lead to war. And the place to start is in our own hearts. Because in our own hearts we have conflicted voices. There are days when we accuse ourselves of not being good enough, not being worthy, not being capable. And what I hope you will take from the gospel of Jesus, that the thing that matters most is not your ability, it's not your capability, it's your readiness to go and make a difference. And Jesus shows us the example, helping a widow, taking a child on his knee, speaking to a person who was excluded because of a sickness, comforting a mother who had lost her child. Jesus goes about doing what any human being can do. And if you think about the examples of your own life, a time perhaps when somebody has spoken a word to you that has made all the difference. The times when maybe somebody has knocked on your door with a small bunch of flour, hoping to cheer you up because you've been in some miserable situation. That's the kinds of things. But if one by one, we all focused on making a difference for others rather than trying to get our own selves blessed, if we could make that decision one by one, then soon we would be a crowd of followers entering into the future. And all of us together in the earth have the power to make the difference for which we are all so hungry just now. So I'm going to say that this is a good day for Jesus. I'm going to say on that evening they sang and they danced and they told stories. And Jesus was aware of where this was going. And we're aware of where this is going in terms of our liturgy. But I would like to leave with you that if you do what you can to make a difference while carrying a joyful song in your heart, you are the light of the world. And we say this from our childhoods. Jesus bids us shine. You in your small corner, and I in mine. And all of us together becoming like the dawning of a new day. And won't there be rejoicing when we first begin to see that the way of power is being cast down and the way of love is being raised up. It's your opportunity, your possibility. You go and make a difference. Amen.